Well, hello everybody and welcome back to G-Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert. And this is part 2 on May Day, May 1st, 2021. And we're still looking at the Pow Buzz tool here because I decided this is going to be one of the giveaways coming up here. Somebody will get this for free, just like it is. And the only thing it's been used for is what you just saw me use it on in my last video here. So it's still a brand new item, but I'm also going to include the 1/4-inch socket driver, which I have a few of, so I figured I'll add one of those to the kit. And this is a number 3 tip for those really big headed screws, Phillips screws, like you would find when you're putting something like a bed together or something like that. They have a larger slot screw, and if you use a number 2 tip in those, you'll strip the screw out and then you can't tighten it. So I will include those 2 extra bits, put them inside of this, and it'll be sitting and ready, and I will tell you all about the upcoming giveaway and how that's going to work, and we'll see who's going to end up with this neat little electric screwdriver in their own little tool kit. And as a tool addict, I really hate giving tools away, but you guys out there are just special, so I'm going to do it for you so somebody can get this little item. Be nice to have around the house, right? All right. Excuse me. I'm going to be heading outside here, and there's a lot of dust blowing around because the winds are gusting at around 25 miles per hour out here, and I've got my wind resistant mic in. I hope it holds up for you and doesn't make too much wind noise. But let's head on down this way, and I want to show you one thing I've been doing down here today, and you probably see it already. The winds are blowing. Yep. So anyway, I refilled the bird feeder there, and I've got my auger out because I planted a new mulberry tree here. Now, actually, these are mulberry branches that I had taken off of that tree when I pruned it, and I stuck them in some soil and they rooted. But I stuck them all too close together. So there's good like 4 branches there that are all entangled in the roots, and I didn't want to damage them too much, so I planted them all together in the same group right there. So what I'll do is once the roots take and that tree gets nice and strong and healthy, maybe next spring will be the time, what I'll do is I'll do some grafting, but it's going to be a specialty grafting. What I do is I cut the bark on the inside of each one of the 4 branches that I have at the same height, so I can make contact with the cambium layers from each one of those units. Then I'll squeeze them all together so they're up tight together like my fingers right there. And then I've got a good contact on the cambiums, and then I'll wrap that with parafilm and then let the juices start flowing through the tree, and it should heal with all 3 branches together, which will give me a strong tree base, a heavier tree base, and then it'll all grow up as one big tree with some hefty branches, kind of like that one over there. All right, I got my tools all put aside here, ready to go back in. This was the one that I pulled out of there. It looks like something got underground and ate up the roots on it. So I'll have to keep an eye on it and make sure those critters don't get under there. This one, I pruned the 2 dead branches off the top, so the new growth is coming up nice and strong. And then over here, by the way, baitless traps. They've been working. I've got 4 of the little suckers that have been tunneling into my chicken coop with baitless traps. What I do is I wedge them into the hole that they're going through, so they can't get through either in or out without hitting the little tab there and popping the trap. And it seems to work. So this one, I pruned off all of the dead branches also, so that it'll send strength to all of the live branches and get a little bit stronger. Now these are all male trees. Now I think one of the branches that's mixed in with that group I just planted might be a female branch. If it is, I'm going to have to do some modifications to that when I get to it. Looks like I got another critter here. Trying to find another way in. There's another baitless trap right there, but it's not sitting close enough to the unit so that little sucker can get in and out without hitting the flap on there. So I'll move that piece of concrete closer to it so he has to cut across and hit the paddle on the way. Well, the winds are blowing and my stuff's blowing around. So let's head over now to the garden house. I want to show you some of the things I did in there. I'm going to give you some good tips for those of you who are planting your own gardens. And you know, my Australian friend, I know she had some tomatoes growing and she had her eyes on those tomatoes, but I don't know if she ever got any good tasty tomatoes out of that. Now you remember tomatoes, they do like the sun, so you got to try to keep them out of the shade. Anyway, 3 zucchini. I got them sprouted, got them planted, got them watered, ready to go. This is a volunteer early Alberta peach from this peach tree from last year. One of the peaches that had fallen on the ground and rotted, the seed sprouted in the soil. So I pulled it out, put it in that little pot, and I'll move it to a bigger pot later down. But look at how the peaches are doing. Yeah, looking nice. Gonna have some peaches. Got some of them are already starting to get red spots on the side of them. Gonna keep it watered to keep it going. Now I was a little disappointed in my pear tree. All of the blossoms fell off of the pear tree, but I didn't see any fruit set. I don't know what that's all about. It might be because of the weather. But look at my Sharon apple graft here. That's really looking good. So that's going to get going strong here, and it's about that time of year for that apple that it's going to want to start producing. So I might get apples on this tree yet this year, hopefully, because that's a new graft. If I get any on there, I'm going to have to take it down to just 1 apple so that the weight doesn't break the graft. All right, this one down here is actually a Fuji apple I got from Andy's tree, and this is only put on, let's see, 411. That's only 2 weeks old, but it's looking healthy, so that one might take yet too. All right, so I did get the zucchini in, and I've got some kale seed here. I'll let those go a little bit longer, and then I'll get those into a pack. Basil, 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 basil. Yeah, anyway, why basil next to tomatoes? Well, if you plant basil next to your tomato plants, you will get the sweetest tasting tomatoes ever. You will never ever grow tomatoes without planting basil around the bottoms of them again. It really, really makes a difference. So if you can, and you got your tomatoes just starting like some of my plants here, these are all seedlings, except this big one here was actually a clone from another plant, and it had taken a hit from the cold earlier in the year, but it's coming back. All right, fava beans. Look at the size of these fava bean stalks. Oh yeah, I got loads. There's some new ones popping out here on this one, and some nice little flowers coming out on this side. So I'll be getting some taller stakes up against these. I also got my pea plant that was in the greenhouse out here, and I planted that in the ground, but I've got to tie it up to the stakes because you don't want your pea plants laying on the ground. You want to tie those up. They want to climb on things and grab a hold of them with their little feelers. So make sure you do that. Grapevines are looking really healthy. And you know, look at all the grapes on that grapevine over there. Oh my gosh, look at the grapes coming out on that. I am going to have grapes. Yes. All right. I got some spinach ready. My asparagus is doing pretty well. And over here, my Bosque pear graft, that's this one right here, that was grafted back, looks like I did get this one in February 25th. So that's definitely taken, and it's doing really well. Some of the other grafts are still looking good, so I'll let them go a little bit longer. I got some fresh buds coming out of this branch right here, and I think that's part of the Fuji apple that I got from Andy. I had like 3 full branches from there. And anyway, I got some peppers ready to pick here, and I'm going to have a steak tonight, so I think that one pepper that's turning red there is going to get grilled right beside it. But I'm going to have to use my indoor grill because this wind is ridiculous. Strawberries are popping out now. I got strawberries, and I put my cucumber plants in the ground, and they're looking healthier again. So I've got my beets over there, and why I've got them over there beats me. But oh my God, I can't believe I used that joke again. All right, so everything else is looking good. The Nanking cherries coming up, and look at this. There's one of the Fuji apple, I think it was. No, it might have been the Sharon apple. I forgot to tag it. Anyway, I cut it on a wedge, stuck it in on a 45-degree angle in the soil, and it is sprouting. Cool. These are peaches, and peaches that come from droppings from that tree over there. I've got them out of the corner there just before I planted my cucumbers and stuff. So I've got 4 peach trees that came off of that tree from dropped peaches from last year. So those will see how they go. This is the early Alberta. That one didn't make it on the transplant, but that one's still doing okay. And these winds aren't helping any. Really are not helping any. My fig tree's got some more extra life growing on it. And I'm going to move back over here. This is my herb garden. This is a stupid dillweed. Ah, you stupid dillweed. All right. So all of this, I got to get this one transplanted. It's going to go in the ground right beside that one because it doesn't stay wet enough in the pot. There's not enough soil to hold enough moisture. I've got to water that like every day, and when the winds blow, sometimes twice a day, because it dries out very quickly. So anyway, I'll get that going. I've got some other ruffled parsley down there, the Italian ruffled parsley. And over here, I've got some other things popping up. I'm not sure what they are. I thought at one time I had planted watermelon in there, but now that they're growing bigger, they don't look like watermelon. I don't know. My garlic's doing well. I've got my lavender in the ground over here because, again, the small pot wasn't holding enough water for it. So I got it in over here so that I've got enough water. My kiwi's doing well. My legacy blueberry's doing well. And over here, I've got a couple of volunteers popping up. Heritage raspberries. And I'm wondering if when I did the transplant from when I bought that one, if there were actually some seeds still in the soil that hadn't sprouted yet, And when I dug the hole and moved soil around, they got into the soil here, and so I got a few extra plants growing up. That's fine with me. I love volunteers. Ooh, pick me, pick me. No, I'm not going to pick you. You're too young. Oh, sometimes I just crack myself up. I can tell because I looked at myself from the backside and I had a crack. Oh, never mind. Anyway, yeah, everything's looking good. Lots of flowers on the jalapenos. I'll be getting some of those pretty soon. My onions gone to seed here. But I love these green onion stems. I cut one off, chop it up, and put it in my salad for my dinner. And it's just delicious. And I've cut the tops off of the cabbage plants, and the chickens love those. And then the cabbage leaves, of course, I make cabbage soup for myself with that. Yeah, I know you want the cabbage soup recipe. Well, I'll get it to you sooner or later. All right. So my radish is up here, doing fine. Things are a little too hot in here. I'm going to have to move the rest of these plants out of here into the breezeway for the summer because it's just getting way too hot. This graft here looks like it dried out from the excessive heat. And look at the leaves on this thing. And I've got it well watered, but it's just too hot in here. And that Sharon apple down there that sprouted, it looks like it's taken a hit from the heat too. So I think I'm going to have to get my hand truck in here and roll these things out of here. Now the citrus doesn't seem to mind, and the sweet potato doesn't seem to mind. Although something's been eating the heck out of the leaves here. All right, so I got to keep my eyes open now because yesterday I saw the first snake of the season. It was only a gopher snake, but when snakes come out and you start seeing them, that means all the snakes are out. So there'll be Mojave greens out, there'll be sidewinders out, there'll be western diamondbacks out. So you got to keep your eyes open, got to stay vigilant when that happens, because when you walk around with flip-flops on, you sure as heck don't want to step on one of those guys or even get that close to them. Usually I'll carry about a 5 or 6 foot long stick, use it as a walking stick as I'm walking along. And then if I run across a snake and I have to distract him, I use the tip of the stick, and that keeps him far enough away so if he strikes, he can't hit me. You want to keep those guys at least 3.5 feet away from you, because when they strike, they can actually leave the ground and hop forward a little bit, although they don't like to normally do that, but if they strike hard enough, they will. All right. That's all there is, everybody. Thanks for joining me here in the Garden of Eden. And we'll be seeing some more of this stuff down the line. I got to get some other things sprouted now that the ground is warm enough. I think I'm going to get some corn in, but not as much as I did last year, because I couldn't eat all that corn last year. I had to share it with the chickens. Not a bad thing, but it sure took up a lot of space in my garden. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. This is G Bear reminding you, don't forget the thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll be seeing you soon. G Bear signing off.